What's going on, guys? This is Weston D. We're going to be going over the new TX Pro and kind of the evolution of where this boot came from. So first and foremost, this was the ever tried and true T-Race. Was around for a long time. About this time, I started playing around with modding out the boots for an increased range of motion and lighter weight. So this was my Scarpa RS cuff. Started playing around with the booster strap and trying to take parts from the Alpine line and incorporate it into the Telemark line. After I transitioned kind of from 75 mil into NTN, started skiing the TX Comp. I always loved the feel of the T-Race. I felt it had a more linear progression of its flex. I didn't particularly love the TX Pro back in the day. I always skied on the Comp. The Comp was still heavy, 4-buckle, more akin to a T2 back in the day with this torsion frame right here. Anyways, then we started modifying those boots. My Scarpa RS cuff, started playing around, again, bringing over the Alpine line and having different parts of that incorporated into the Telemark line. One of the things that Italy did start playing around with was this is one of the few pairs of TX comps with insert into it. This was a great boot and skied a ton of days on it, albeit heavy, but was able to ski in tech bindings with it. Fast forward to March of 2018, we started prototyping the new boot. Scarpa Italy came over with Scarpa North America. We also had binding manufacturers in there. I'll show you a picture of the first boot we tried playing around with. The new TX line is a complete redesign from the ground up. Scarpa Italy wanted to change everything and start with a completely fresh slate. On the first iteration of this, I'll show a picture of this, we had a spring bar in here. We were trying to reduce weight. We were throwing everything at the wall and seeing what would stick. You can still see on this mold where the spring bar fit in on there. This boot is roughly based off of an F1-esque, even though everything's been redesigned. You'll see here, this is kind of an older F1 walk mode that's since changed on the production version. You'll also notice that originally they were trying to make a tech-only boot. That was something we fought really hard for, was to make a boot that was compatible with both tech and cage. We played around with a bunch of different plastics on this. We'd get sent versions with different cuffs, different bellows, different durometer plastics. They're also working on the shrinking rate of the different plastic. We had some issues with that. This boot's kind of a special boot. This is a one-off. This has carbon long fiber Grillamet in it. I'm a big guy. I like stiff boots, and this approach is being too stiff. This material is insane, but the torsional rigidity out of it is incredible, but it was too stiff. Also of note, a sample size is a 27, so 27, 27, 27. Took many years until we were able to get to a new cut out of a 28. Again, out of this boot of kind of interesting, we're also working on new Intuition liners throughout the entirety of the process. I used to ski 28s, then I skied 29s because it hurt my foot. Then I was back to a 27. And for me to ski this boot, this is how I had to ski it, with the liner completely cut out. My left foot's bigger than my right foot. So I skied this boot for years, winter camping and all kinds of stuff. Started to wear through it. In this version, kind of called the winter mitt, this is the first time the sole's starting to get a sole that's compatible with a cage. So we don't still have the Vibram over the length of it, but we started playing around with different shapes. Chris from 22 calls this one the winter green. Now we're starting to get into more production walk modes taken from an F1. After about 5 years of testing, I finally got a pair of boots that was my size. This is what's mostly the equivalent of a production TX Pro here. Other things that we did was switch around this toe buckle, if you will, upwards, so that when you're walking around on rocks, you don't get crushed with that. Started to do updated booster straps, production liners, and we were still playing around with trying to find the sweet spot between durometer plastics for the bellows with the tongue and how that all interacted with the cuff and the Scarpa. In the new design, fingers from this kind of rear of the Scarpa and the very stiff material come all the way down into the forefoot of the boot. Creates a much more even flex of the boot, and we're able to fine tune the boot. We also have a spoiler on the back here. It's a double position spoiler. This boot is as high or higher than the previous generation TX. Also have a nice little gusset and liner in here. This boot is super waterproof, warm and comfortable. That's kind of the gator of the internal boot. Now we make it up to the production TX Pro, beautiful boot, tech insert, also good for cage bindings. Vibram sole, beautiful walk mode, micro adjust buckles. We brought back the tried and true instep buckle. That was a big feedback from people over the years. This booster strap's great. Again, there's the spoiler that can rise up, and our first ever dedicated Intuition liner. So this year we have out the TX Pro. Next year for FY25, we'll be coming out with the comp. This is a prototype comp. Also forgot to mention that there's removable and replaceable bump stops. This boot is based off the same chassis as the TX Pro. It's just going to have a different, stiffer plastic. The weight should be very similar. Again, it's still going to be a 3-buckle boot, but the performance that you get out of this 3-buckle, in addition to the booster strap, will rival and better any 4-buckle boot of the past. This boot is super comfortable, warm. This boot's incredible. From the resort, backcountry skiing, winter camping, mountaineering, all that kind of stuff. It receives crampons better. By having a reduced boot sole length, you're more precise with your footwork. The whole boot is just incredible. And the biggest thing is this 60+ degree range of motion, mega comfort, and it's going to be a great boot.